Hello everyone, this is Shannon from That's So Poe, and today I'm doing week 8 of my 2022 reads. This week I read some really great books across a bunch of different genres. Timestamps and content warnings are in the description box below. First, I finished The Thursday Murder Club by Richard Osman. This is a contemporary murder mystery that I'd heard really great things about from Alice at the Book Castle, who I'll link below, and I was really intrigued because I knew that Richard Osman was kind of like a British television presenter comedian, and Sush and I have recently gotten very into Richard Osman's House of Games. I'll link one of the episodes below if you want to check it out, and have been so into that I thought, let me go ahead and give his book a try because I've heard great things about it. And I had such a good time. This is not quite a cozy mystery. It's a little bit more intense than that, but it has a lot of humor and cozy aspects as well. It takes place in a small British village and in fact in a retirement community. So we follow four people in their 70s who decide to form a murder club where they try to solve old unresolved cases. And so they just want to use their brains to figure something out. And then an actual murder happens in their community and they get sort of dragged into this, or rather they run headlong into it. The characters in this are just fantastic. The mystery itself is very twisty and turny. It's really quite gripping. It's just a very well written murder mystery. I don't read a ton of them, but I thought this was excellent. And it had a lot of really interesting things where these people in this club are uncovering a lot of hidden secrets in their community. And I thought it was excellent. A little bit too twisty and turny, maybe for my taste, but even so, really good. 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely planning to read the next book in the series too. Next, I read a picture book, Every Little Kindness by Marta Bartolj. This is a picture book that I'd heard about from Becca at ReadBecca, who I'll link below, and it was just as sweet as she said it was. It has really amazing artwork. I love the colors. It's done in kind of a grayish style of color except for red, and red is used to denote kind of the through line of the story. The story starts out about a woman whose dog is lost and she's going to post some posters looking for her lost dog, but it kind of follows this idea of a kindness done and how that passes through the community. And as each person does a kindness to somebody else, that passes on. And this kind of red coloring shows that. It is just such a lovely story. It doesn't have any words, it's just the pictures, but it tells a really compelling story about a community, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I love picture books like this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Ain't Burned All the Bright by Jason Reynolds, illustrated by Jason Griffin. This is such a beautiful experimental book. So this is basically part art book and part story. I think that I would classify this maybe as middle grade or YA. It takes the perspective of a boy who is suffering through 2020. So this book is all about that experience of feeling completely overwhelmed by the pandemic, by everything that was happening with police brutality, with George Floyd, everything like that. And it takes this perspective of this boy who feels like he just can't breathe. You know, everything is so overwhelming, and it's talking about him searching for like an oxygen mask, trying to find a way to breathe. And it is just beautiful. I absolutely love this. I thought it was completely stunning. The story itself is just kind of almost like a poem. It's pretty short in terms of words, although the book itself is rather long because the artwork is so beautiful. This is like almost an art gallery's exhibition worth of artwork. There's so many different pages that are just evoking the emotions of this experience. Some of them are sort of illustrating what is going on, but some of them are just pure emotion. There's all of these different colors used, a lot of black and gray and white, but also a lot of red and a lot of blue, and at times, you know, other colors as well. And it just really is evocative. I thought that this was incredibly powerful, and it really represented that experience of 2020 so well, and that feeling of just just being so overwhelmed by the world being on fire that I think all of us can relate to. I thought this was just spectacular. I definitely highly recommend it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. And lastly, I read These Lifeless Things by Premee Mohamed. This is a dystopian cosmic horror novella that I thought was just excellent. So this takes place in a future where Earth has been invaded by these sort of interdimensional cosmic horror beings, so very Lovecraftian, and basically 99% of humanity is killed. We follow an anthropologist, a researcher, about 50 years after these beings have left Earth, and humanity is just trying to figure out what happened, trying to understand that kind of invasion that happened. And so she's with a group of researchers and she's trying to understand the history, and she finds a diary that was written by a woman who was living through the siege itself. And so we go back and forth between the diary and the anthropologist's time as she's reading the diary and then trying to find evidence of what had happened in the diary in the city itself. And the woman in the diary is really a survivor. So all of her family has been killed. There's very few survivors. Life is quite hard. But it shows her strength and her power and her willingness to do, what it takes to keep herself alive, and also to fight against these beings in any way that she can resist. And it's a very, very powerful political message in this as well, because these cosmic horror beings are seen by the people as yet another type of invader, where they have experienced centuries of invasion and they have survived it before, and they're unwilling to try to deal with them in anything beyond resistance. It has a whole discussion about appeasement and about the few humans who think somehow they can, fall in line with these extremely insatiable beings. So it's a great political discussion. And one of the things that I think is very unfortunate, if also incredibly relevant, is that this takes place in Ukraine. So I read this at the beginning of the week, and just a couple of days after I finished it, Russia invaded Ukraine. So I am recording this a couple of days before I'll post it. I'm not really sure what the situation in Ukraine will be by then, but right now it is intense. It's very intense, and I think that this book is just really, it really resonates with what's going on, and a lot of these discussions of survivorship, and also of like in this siege city in this book, nobody really coming to the aid of the people in that. So yeah, this is an intense book. It's incredibly well written, and even more relevant with everything that's going on in Ukraine right now. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I would highly recommend it. Okay, so that is everything that I read this week. If you guys have read any of these, if you have any thoughts, anything like that, go ahead and leave me a comment down below.